There are some who come before us, and some who come after us. So we who are here now must think about, and talk about, and write about that which has come before. A regeneration process. His story making. His story begins at the bottom of a ship. But our stories are told by the women. And our voices reach across the dark Atlantic to rise up and Pacific Coast possibilities. We came from all directions. From Manila to Katrina. Monsoon rains once rained on backs on backs. Monsoon rains once rained on backs on backs. Ours is a story of regeneration. A history destined to begin again and again and again and again and again and again. 6 generations long now. And she shall be the 7th. 7. A perfect number to be born into. met my first soulmate next to the wishing well where my parents were married. They recognized I had a higher purpose and let me fly, which wasn't in the old version. I couldn't return to the old version. Once I went back and saw his image reflected in another. So now they share a broken version of a reality we once dreamed of, and I'm okay with that. She dreamed that Nyjah offered up her beautiful seeds as testimony of their love for humanity, which is how she became the motherland. By spreading her seeds across the globe, Nyjah would grow great relations with powerful spiritual empires across the globe, like the New World and El Norte Americano. Nyjah would share her wealth, sacrifice her well-being as evidence of her commitment to progress. But let us turn now to the book of Genesis and read about how Abraham was asked by God to sacrifice his only legitimate son, Isaac, by taking him to the top of Mount Moriah, where he would be sacrificed as evidence of Abraham's love for God. Without hesitation, Abraham took his son to the top of Mount Moriah, where he was about to slay him, before an angel appeared, halting the sacrifice. But for Nyjah, that's not what happened. No, evidence says otherwise, which is why Langston said, "Go to the mountaintop." Baldwin said, "Tell it on the mountaintop." King said, "I have been to the mountaintop." African sun snatched like blue black gold from mountaintops, like gold mines in the soil of mountaintops, like diamonds in the rough, like blue black oil reserves, reserving currency for the soldiers and sailors and merchants and colonists, and now presidents. We used to be presidents. We used to be treated like dead presidents. They used to make us say, "Lo siento," I'm sorry, before and after we said, "I am black, I am Mexico, I'm Filipino, I am negro." Until one day, La Afro-Filipina Negrita became unapologetic, and we were whitelisted, accused of using attack metaphors, of being told we were anti-diverse, and we thought our blackness problematic. But it wasn't blackness that was the problem. Our mothers left us clues, like the North Star, carried them in their womb space, hid them from extinction, but we think we ain't got no models, cause we ain't got no radio play or no TV ads or no endorsements on BET about how infidelity and secrecy lead to STDs, and baby mama needs baby's daddy to come on home, cause we think we ain't got no models. But me, write me a poem about where blackness can live freely. Yeah, I said, write me a poem without whiteness. Yeah, I know. Blackness can't exist without the notion of whiteness. It throws the equilibrium. So instead, write me a poem play where blackness can live freely. Where ain't no notion of light-skinned over dark-skinned, no self-hate, no illegitimacy, no social protest for universal suffrage or anti-lynching fights or pro-abortion rights when our reproductive process really ain't right. I want a life without white, where power ain't found in powder and pills ain't popped to take away the bills, where sola madres ain't waiting on collect calls or collecting love letters mailed from the inside of privatized labor systems that they called vacation when the babies asked where daddy was. I want a life without white. So me, write me a poem play where we can all go and be safe, where our emotions have value, our words have weight. My dearest Seven, we should not have to make the same mistakes. Not when our mothers left us clues. He came to her in 1940, rubbed 4 quarters into the form of a Washington. Her mother was a Washington, but her father was the son. Through him, she would find revelation, open the book with no hesitation, and understanding that the man who called himself her daddy wasn't her daddy. I'm your daddy, he said, and he handed her a Washington. She was 6 then. By age 10, her mother would offer up confession, said he asked me not to commit treason, tell the 8th grades of his son that he wasn't the only one who walked his DNA across the walls of her timeline. She was looking for a dime, dying for the taste of a Washington. So she spent one with him, wrapped her currency around his urgency, smoke signaled emergency around her ovaries like she was having surgery, burned a black hole into her inner light, released her back into the plight of being a single mother. There was no other way to tell her daughter, he ain't your daddy. So she erased his image from her second seed's imagination. When they stole her talking drum sound, laid down orality until black became text, forbidden to be read by a Washington. She was held up verbally by a Smith & Wesson. I'm their daddy now. Don't you tell no one. Her mama used to carry a gun. They used to hang niggas where she was from. She asked her mama where she was from. He had handed her a Washington. When he passed, his wife came by, told her mother what she always knew about John's female son. Since he was gone anyway, well, here's the information about how to collect some Washingtons. If she needed some currency, you know what I mean? We used to be currency. You know what I mean? She was 6 when she learned she was born from the sun. He went by the name of Johnson, the son of a John. Son, Johnson. My matrilineal lineage marches to win a million-man American bandstand. My matrilineal lineage marches to win a million-man American bandstand. Carmen was a Mexican. My matrilineal lineage marches to win a million-man American bandstand. Carmen was a Mexican, had 5 children with 5 men. It would have been 7, but she lost a set of twins. They prophesied we would be the next generation to carry cocooned realities in sets of 2s or 3s. Now all our babies are half-breeds, half native, half colonist, half indigenous, half Americano. My matrilineal lineage marches to win a million-man American bandstand. My matrilineal lineage marches to win a million-man American bandstand. Carmen was a Mexican, had 5 children with 5 men. It would have been 7, but she lost a set of twins. They prophesied that we would be the next generation to carry cocooned realities in sets of 2s or 3s. Now all our babies are half-breeds. My matrilineal lineage marches to win a million-man American bandstand. My matrilineal lineage marches to win a million-man American bandstand. Carmen was a crazy kind of chick, a chatterbox Chicano, changed languages from broken English to American Mexicano, challenged men with Spanish songs of please right my wrongs and don't do me wrong, and before long, right came of wrong. And Grandma Carmen gave birth to Grandma Frances. But there was no wedding. My matrilineal lineage marches to win a million-man American bandstand. My matrilineal lineage marches to win a million-man American bandstand. Grandma Frances was half Filipino, half Mexico. First pulled air into her lungs in the land of Estados Unidos. California claimed her. She was the daughter of a 3rd-generation Mexican matriarch, living in San Francisco's Hunters Point. If you've been there during this lifetime, then you get the point. Grandma Carmen was searching for a way to the island. But Grandma Frances, she laid down roots right here on the mainland, married a Filipino man, and together they taught us how to give away our slave names and still keep our faith. My matrilineal lineage marches to win a million-man American bandstand. I traced my mother's bloodline from Filipino-American homeland to the Visayan rural island of Leyte. Lately, I've been pondering how my grandfather once told my mother that we were from the dark side of the island, half native, half colonist, half indigenous, half Spanish. Word traveled through the Hawaiian Islands, chopping down sugarcane in swift dreams of the California coast. This is how the Negros of the Philippines came to America. Our own Lagais were formerly enslaved by Lincoln and Washington from back in the days. These days we recognize how our black Nats, I said our black Nats, paved the way with bolos and sugarcane sticks, cotton gins with the special blend, rifles and rice fields down in the Louisiana swamplands where Filipino-American black men lived on the underground for over a century before being discovered. They sent money to care for our mothers. We learned to live the American way. Yo, this is the land where Eazy-E spread the news, where Dr. Dre drew sound with Ice Cubes and everyone built their verbal crews like alliteration was a liberation tool, like Ida at the turn of the century, pimping her a red book. Look, Tupac was killed aesthetically, like Machiavelli, and we had to die a spiritual death to be reborn artistically, a journey Huey might call revolutionary suicide. It can't be denied. They tried to abort us from the inside, but we survived. War breaks out, words fly past houses, past windows, past our peeking eyes. And we had never experienced warfare in our backyards before. So now, 13 years later, she wants to scream rape, but she doesn't know how to define it. So instead, she just screams race, 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 race. 13 years later, she wants to scream rape, but she doesn't know how to define it. So instead, she just screams rape. I read Eldridge Cleaver's Soul on Ice, and one night, after I had pledged to commit revolutionary suicide, before my homeboy Huey P. Newton died of white, his words changed me. And George Jackson wrote me love letters on the under like a strong Soledad brother. And out of love, they told me Cleaver was a rapist before he was ever a revolutionary. That he had dedicated his iced out soul to that paralegal snow bunny jackrabbit trick we would target practice, he said. And he's gonna thank her 13 years later. She wants to scream rape, but she doesn't know how to define it. So instead, she just screams race, 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 race. 13 years later, she wants to scream rape, but she doesn't know how to define it. So instead, she just screams rage. In 68, Cleaver offered up an apologia, practice his prayer poem so he could get over the guilt he carried from 67. Before the last godly year of the new millennium, she was passed out drunk in the backseat of a muscle car. They swung an episode. She would never know how God reached down his hand and made her eyes close. They supposed she would lose this memory as they gained camaraderie through alcohol, turned her insides raw, tracked a trail of tragedy that ran like a chain gang. Sing a song that sounded like puff, puff, pass, they passed her ass around. She wasn't but 13. Pulled her insides apart like she was hurting. The idea was always lurking, but never confirmed. So she learned not to live her answers in daymares. 13 years later, she wants to scream, but she doesn't know how to define it. So instead, she just screams, race, 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 race. 13 years later, she wants to scream, but she doesn't know how to define it. So instead, she just screams, rage. Was the daughter of a Washington, and she gave birth to Janice. And Joseph, plain eyes, for she was conceived immaculately. Her father never penetrated. Her mother wanted to name her Jesus, but her genitals didn't match her savior, so she savored the moment in a drug-induced ritual of spiritual abandonment. Said it was a way to pay the rent. And how could I blame her for searching for a way to know God in a place where God is denied? She told me once I could pray in the closet and God would hear me. These days I pray in the closet and hope God hears me. I hope she hears me too. My Aunt Janice was a mother by age 14. She used to braid my hair and tell me she'd buy me a new pair of jeans. Things were never what they seemed. I loved her, but I never knew the other side of her. Her whiteness was invisible to me. Blinded by the love for intellect, I slept on the sound silence of the page where I spread my words, chasing that white. She used to spread her legs before I hit the pipe. She used to steal my mama's clothes to go chasing that white. She put so much white in her system, her womb became white. She gave so much power to an invisible color. She passed from white. Now one son is behind bars and the other, oh, he calls me white. She never understood my mother, who married her brother by the wishing well. The first year that he was in jail, yeah, he caught a burglary case the day after his son was born. It was like some scene straight out of that movie Belly, y'all. I mean, my mother actually thought she'd be able to fit in her skinny jeans when she delivered what was in her belly, y'all. It was a powerful night, the night my brother was born. My father was torn between protecting a thief and protecting his life. The duty wasn't living quite right, steady breaking the commandments, because the good book didn't always account for economic exile. Stealing wasn't really a part of my pop's style. Neither was pulling his piece before the cashier could pull his in a Rochambeau moment. It only took a moment for my mother's life to change forever. Stormy weather. Since he's been away, it was too soon when the eldest of 6 girls conceived. She'd known her lover since junior high. At 16, his mother left him behind. She loved this man, hid his seed in her sand for like 5 months before she told another soul. Asked her favorite auntie to meet her at the coffee shop so she could offer up confession. But her auntie caught on, said, I'm gonna teach this girl a lesson. Showed up with her mama in tow, and that's how my mother, Elizabeth, had to let my grandmother, Frances, know I'm pregnant. She wasn't even out of high school yet. She wasn't just beautiful, she was brilliant. If she went to college, she could be resilient. I mean, plus that brother she was with, he was headed straight for jail. Ah, hell. Grandpa Domingo put his head in his hands, turned to his wife and said, Where did we fail? But Grandma May, she clung to my father, hung with my father, became his other mother when his other mother left him behind. She used to cook him black-eyed peas and pig's feet, mix Billie Holiday with Carlos Santana and the Ohio Players. Man, the other brother to eventually join the family would be an Ohio player. Nobody thought they'd last. Grandma Carmen said, No casaste negro. Don't you marry that nigga. The Grandma Pacencia said, Don't you tell her what to do. Now, 37 years later, my parents are still doing what they have to do. The work of God cannot come undone. to discover sooner or later that in another life, on another plane, Huey was my first main man. That I was the Blasian wonder boss who owned 1966. I mean, who you think convinced them that leather jackets and berets was stylish? But that was back when I was an Afro-Filipina Catholic. Before we lost our religion. When our family living room gatherings were like some East Asian fusion of the Cuban Santeria, yo. Or maybe a small gathering of the Trinidadian Spiritual Baptists all bumping karaoke, right? But honestly, the morals of my family are not a joke to me. You see, I understood our African mythology retold through Pacific Islander footsteps by way of Hawaii into East Palo Alto, across the bridge, through Oakland, all the way down to the South Bay. So now, we're in the capital, and I'm spitting political bits from my uncle who gave me these stories and then said narrate it. You see, my people love the talking drum, the smoking gun, and God's natural gifts, like love. You see, love is God's creation. Peace, the foundation for any nation. And these are revolutionary ideals these days, but Huey was into that undisciplined, free love type rhetoric back then. And like I said, I was an Afro-Filipina Catholic, spiritually Baptist on my daddy's side. Plus, my mama was a right-on-die type chick, because her pops, well, he used to own this print shop, and her mom's, well, she used to sing the blues on the late night in the San Francisco bars. So my people have always understood the power of the spoken, performed, and preserved word. I mean, plus, when you really get down and speak with the people, when you really get down and speak with the elders, you begin to see that even though everyone always claimed the Second Amendment was the one, honestly, it was speech that gave us true freedom. Come on, bruh. Huey could barely read before he met she. He went from porno to Plato to politicized prison poetry, printing prophecy, permanently pledging his commitment to all power to the people. But in the aftermath, Huey got turned out by those white lines. And I didn't just read about it. I've lived Angela Davis's Janice Head. I've double-dutched in Du Bois' double consciousness. Huey named his hope revolutionary suicide, and I committed it. He recognized a pattern of political homicide, economic exile, became a counterinsurgent revolutionary warrior, an outlaw by law, white powder his fatal flaw. And when he died on the inside, she did not cry, but I did. It was during the last godly year of the new millennium, in the capital of the new world's oldest black gold state, on the south side, where gods and kings would always have a view of the meadows from the edge of the garden block to the valley of the queens, beat up virgin territory being feuded over by bootleggers on every block. And I should know, because I was supposed to be one of them, a black girl trying to concentrate in a German school, reading Roman rhetoric, singing songs of Solomon, raising queens of Sheba, bumping one love, wondering if there was anybody out there who could love one. I gave him the power of the mind. He chose the power of the gun. I gave birth to a revolutionary son. He fathered a lie that left itself imprinted on the inside of a painter's canvas. There was no way to hide this. So years later, I would testify at this black temple that I am an Afro-Filipina Catholic, spiritually Baptist on my daddy's side. My maternal grandmother sang the blues. My paternal grandfather ran nightclubs. One was murdered by a jealous lover. The other looked like a sleeping Buddha when she passed on. Her womb grew so wide with cancer that she looked like she were giving birth to a worldview. And I, her eldest granddaughter, 6th generation of first daughters, went on to miscarry my motherhood moment while traveling on intellectual Hajj, straight to the mountaintop, searching for answers. Carried a set of twin turntables in my belly. If I would have burst, I would have given birth to sound. Scratched melodies over, scratched melodies over belly beats, chanted crescendos like classical music, borrowed from the land of the ancestors and carried in the preformed lungs of the unborn. But I miscarried, told my lover of the other growing in my womb. Samson shaved his head, rubbed oil on his brown skin, and went job searching. And my mother said, "It's too soon. What about school?" I said, "I'm gonna do what I gotta do, and I ain't taking off of school." Kept my chin up, went in to get a checkup. At 10 weeks, had the hiccups and a really full bladder. It didn't matter. Today, I'd hear the beat, but a beat. At 10 weeks, there should have been a heartbeat. The doctor was cool, cracked jokes, said they were a full-service hospital. Set up the camera for a photo shoot of my mini MC inside of me. Set the mic up so she could serenade me. Rubbed my belly with ointment. I was running late for my appointment, so I didn't get the chance to pee before I got called in. Girl, I should have peed before I got called in. And there is your really full bladder. Until after. Yeah, the doctor was cool. entertaining and accommodating as a crowd awaited in anticipation. Lights, camera, action! Nobody expected the artist cancellation. How far along are you? 10 weeks, puppy. At 10 weeks, there should have been a heartbeat. Now I told you, we are a full-service hospital. Yeah, the doctor was cool. She handed me a box of Kleenex. I didn't exactly know what to do next. She told me of the rivers that would run red over the next few days, but all of the words went in one way, and the tears would not fall until later. She wanted me to come back for a checkup. I told her as I got up I was headed to San Diego. Something about a performance, you know? Me stepping up to the mic, trying to become a national champion, maybe an All-American. I took home 5 first-place trophies that weekend. But the tears would not fall until later, when my partner rubbed my invisible wounds, and I recalled the wisdom in my mother saying it was too soon. When she heard the news, she said, "Oh, I was just getting used to the idea." And my father, well, he said I was never pregnant. I cried then. I mean, he didn't understand it and I didn't know how to explain it. I handed him my first place trophies instead. Thought about how I crossed the Mexicali border and bled Carmen's car full of men out of me at a strip joint in Tijuana. They didn't wanna leave me behind at the hotel even though I told them I wasn't feeling well. They didn't need to know the details. So I just played along. Walked the streets of Mexico in a trance. Shared a second glance with a 5-year-old selling chiclets in the middle of the night. Thinking about how this world really ain't right, how blood loss isn't always in sight. I mean, they had their sights on tits and ass. I stared at the bottom of an empty glass. I didn't know Carmen then, that a part of me was Mexican, or that one day I would be destined to carry a set of twin turntables in my belly. One day, when I would be able. When the morning came, we packed our bags, thought about jet lag. I didn't want to make anyone feel bad, so I never told how I changed my pad 3 times on the plane out of San Diego into the capital. Punishment for unknowing. My dearest 7, these are the things you should know. want to hear you tell me you love me, he said. She pulls in a deep breath before turning to him. He's twice her size. She's 2 steps ahead of him, imaginatively. But he does something to her, spiritually. She wants to say, love you? I died for you. You inhaled the air around me until I turned blue. And when you exhaled, I was blown into pieces. You can believe this. For every word you uttered, I was a lyric lying in wait for an image to somehow take shape. You wrote to me, said you'd dream with me, asked me to grow trees with you, and so I blew trees with you. And another life, on another plane, I hung in a tree with you. Remember that one time we sat under a weeping willow and you let me read with you? I turned myself into paper over you, took these nonsensical words and flipped them into hieroglyphics for you. I rose for you. At the beginning of this millennium, I got saved for you. Asked John the Baptist to lead me through the book of Revelation so I could lay my hands on the daughters of Brahma, the hip-hop Haitian, with you and the sons of 2 sons of the overture. Help me lace a story about spiritual relations. I fasted for my unasked for creations, prayed I wouldn't go insane over the truth. I dreaded these ideas until they locked me into eternal youth. When you left, I went looking for you, turned myself into a hurricane for you, spread my legs, opened up my womb, purified the South, simply to prove the system of racism existed for you. I was a daughter of Oya Shango's baddest on the block. Have you forgot? I told you I was an original Wellesian, praised I to be wealth, love for black men, then turned to the book of Genesis for the true meaning of Rachel within. I mean, maybe you thought I committed a form of deception, but this was my confrontation with the religious reception. Just some poet's philosophical passage about the human right to write, and passages about the rights of her rights and wrongs. I mean, where do you think I got the rhythm to these songs? I mean, you was like some 1920s blues brother than me. Except I smelled sand in you. Skin so black it captured nowhere, and I was a nowhereian. I'm not afraid to say I recognize how I romanticized a reality that really was just so new to me. And you accused me of living in fantasy. It's true, I had never been to the depths of this black being before. But it was like only God stood between us when our spirits were at war. Melodies of hard work, hard work, reminding me of how our grandfather's hands once reeked of island dirt from dragging banana leaves and sucking on sugarcane sticks while chasing your blues train. I discovered I had Phanon in me. I'll never depart from that. So let me remind you who put you up on this revolutionary game. Let me apologize if you stood in the middle of my black rain. But I had to have a conversation about my pain, about the possibility of a whole new world's conception. Deception? I was simply being honest in my translated versions of your stories. For every word you uttered, I historicized its elements so that you might hold fast to a dream like Langston asked us to. But what'd you do? You turned your back, and I watched it for you. Asada said, the revolution is for life. Leroy said, together. Sonia said, but what you gonna tell them when they get here, Nika? Nikki said, let's kill them all. Let's kill them all. But Mother Margaret really didn't think that was too cool. And neither did Nsizaki Shange, who was still trying to figure out how those nationalist poets had tricked her poetry out to the point of combat breath. All praises to Fanon, because everybody knows Fanon wrote it, Malcolm said it, and Huey P. Newton put it into action. But Sister Kathleen, she really wasn't into Huey like that. I mean, he was cool and all, but she had to be down for her man, intellectually and politically speaking. So she spoke in a specific way for a specific purpose because she had her eye on Eldridge's back and was willing to use her word as a cleaver. Kathleen Cleaver. Because some of us had to pick up the political fight, swinging rocks when rocks was thrown, breaking jaws to get to bone. Those Wellesian warriors were revolutionary womanists. They entered the fight. They led the fight. So we had to enter the fight because Bessie Smith told it like it was. Ida B. Wells was her brother's keeper. Zora Neale Hurston finally got a tombstone, thanks to Alice Walker, who knew Angela Davis before Angela Davis was like even Angela Davis, y'all. Who was a member of the Che Lumumba Club and the Black Panther Party, like Asada and Kathleen. I hear their words and know it's possible. I hear their words and know it's possible. Monsoon rains once rained on black backs, on black backs. Monsoon rains once rained on black backs, on black backs. Now, 13 years later, we stand at the edge of this mountaintop. 6 generations of first daughters. You came once. Do you remember? You bore me poetry and set me free. Now I'm asking, how many tears am I gonna have to cry before my people are free? Are you listening?